guys. The stuff we're going to talk about today could not possibly be any easier, I don't think. I can't imagine anyone will struggle with it, but it is super important, and it's one of the most common mistakes that I see when I get formal writing from 8th graders. And if you can do it right, you're really going to impress your teachers going into 9th grade next year. So let's crack right down to it. I want you guys to imagine that you are me, or you are your 9th grade teacher, whatever it might be, and you've just spent like a month teaching your students how to like research and write a formal paper, and you spent all this time working out the essays, and you're so excited to get them in and see what they've learned, and then what they turn in looks like this. All right? None of you are reading this writing right now. None of you know whether or not this is any good, because the point is that this thing just looks like a pile of hot garbage. And it looks just not smart. It doesn't look like it's a paper from an intelligent person. That's not necessarily fair. Maybe you turn that in and maybe you're a super smart person. But the fact is that that's the first impression that your reader's getting, is that you think that green text on black highlights look cool. So that's the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about today, is just formatting, font, and what academic papers look like. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to punch up this paper that I have here. When you guys are writing your paper, write however you want. If this font and this this color, if you think that looks cool, if you think that's easy to read, if you think that's easy to work with, that's totally cool. I usually scale up my text to like an 18 or a 20 just because it's easier to read, it's easier to catch my mistakes. That's all totally fine. Just make sure you fix it before you turn it in. So the first thing, once you've settled on your paper, you're confident in your writing, and now you just want to get it ready to be turned in, highlight all your text, and the first thing that we want to talk about is font color, because that's the number one rule. Your font should 1000% always, forever, be black with a white background. You should never have highlights, you should never have green or pink or blue text or whatever. It's always black, every single time. Similarly, it is always a size 11 or 12. 12 was kind of the standard when I was your age. 11 has become more of a standard as it goes on. It is also always aligned to the left. So it's always aligned to the left. It is always black. It is always at most a size 12, except for your title. As you're coming up with a title, first thing, make sure things are spelled right. You shouldn't really be getting creative with your spelling at any point in your essay, certainly not when it's the first thing that your reader's going to read. You're also capitalizing most words. The only exception is usually words that are 3 words or 3 letters or shorter, so things like was, and, in, of, those you don't have to capitalize. Final one, this is like one of my last major pieces of advice that I'm going to give you as your BL teacher. Exclamation points. Everybody thinks they're so neat, but really, they just make you look like you can't make the point on your own, so you need to use an exclamation point to communicate that something's a big deal. My rule, you guys get 3 exclamation points for the rest of your lives. You can use them however you want, whenever you want, but you're only allowed to use 3 exclamation points ever again. Like, I don't mean 3 in a row, I mean like for the rest of your life, only use 3 exclamation points. You can choose when you're using them, just be careful of them. Point being, I don't need an exclamation point here. Now, your title is the only place that you're allowed some exceptions to the rule. First off, you're going to highlight that. You can center align your title, and your title can be 1 default size higher than the rest of your text. So if the rest of my essay is in a 12, the title's a 14. Now finally, we should talk about the fonts. I chose Lobster, which is apparently a font. All of your fonts should always be either Arial or Times New Roman. That's where you get to be a little bit creative. You get to choose between these 2 fonts. I'm being sarcastic. It's up to you guys which one you choose, but either Arial or Times New Roman are the ones that are accepted. From there, as you're going through, you should not have any spaces between your paragraphs. However, every paragraph should start with an indent or a tab. I know that's hard to do on iPads. I think we agreed that it's 7 spaces makes a tab. I hate that that's how you have to do it. I wish we had Chromebooks, but it is what it is. Make sure everything has a tab, and make sure there are no spaces between paragraphs. Finally, the last thing that you're going to want to make sure that you do is double space your whole essay. So you highlight everything, including the title. You go up here to spacing, and you select double. All this does is just makes it easier for your reader to read. It gives them a little bit more spacing between that line. It's also why we didn't put spaces between the paragraphs, because they don't really need them. Everything's going to be double spaced. Finally, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is your works cited page. So throughout your essay, you should have those little inline citations that are like parentheses and then a website or a name or whatever. Those are cool, but obviously you can't find that source just off of somebody's last name and a page number, right? That won't get us back to that source, and that's the whole point of citing our sources. It's that if somebody wants to, they can check our work. They can make sure that we didn't just make up this fact. We got it from somebody who really, really knows what they're talking about, and we just read through it and kind of corroborated it and, put it together into one piece. So we need something that can get them to exactly the source that you use, like that edition, that specific way that it was pulled up, whatever it might be. And that's what our works cited page is for. So now, I've told you guys before that when I was your age, to make a works cited page, to use this really, really specific citation to create this like perfect roadmap to the source that we used. We had a book that we had to go through and like put commas in the right place and periods and move stuff around. It was a huge pain in the butt. You guys don't have to do that. I'll be forever envious of you for it. You guys can use a website called Citation Machine. It's just citationmachine.net. We've used it before, if you recall, but I'm going to take you through it again one more time with this video. There's also a website called EasyBib that I used to be into. I like this one just the tiniest bit more, even if it is like smothered in Cheez-It and Corn Pop ads. Anyway, when you guys get on Citation Machine, the first thing, it's going to say upload your paper. Don't click that. You don't want that. It's some sort of like premium service they offer that's going to go through and like scan your paper for errors. It costs like $10 a month. You don't want that. You want to go to I only want to create citations. So you're going to go to I only want to create citations. You're going to go to MLA because that's the type of citation that you're going to make. Once you get to MLA, it's going to try to, for example, if you have a magazine, it's going to try to find exactly that magazine article and just make you a perfect citation. It's so easy. Since a lot of you use websites, that's what I'll use for my example. I'm going to copy that URL. I bring it back over here. I plug in the URL here. And when I hit select, it's going to tell me all the information that it got on it. Now, I'm going to hit final step. The thing when you're making citations is there is an ideal way to do it where we have as much information as possible so we can be positive that we're talking about exactly the right source that we used. However, sometimes some of that information is just not available. It's just hard to find. Actually, this one turned out pretty perfect. But let's say, for example, that I used a website that didn't cite the author, that I didn't have that it was by Tim Ott. If the website doesn't say it, that's okay. What you want to be doing is just coming up with as much information for that citation as you possibly can. And this does a pretty good job of finding that for you. So then once I'm done, literally all I have to do is click Create Citation. Again, I can't tell you guys how much easier this is than it used to be for me. And now you're going to hit Copy. It makes this nice citation here for you. As you do more, it'll actually keep them all in one spot for you, which is super cool. Now, what you guys could do when you turn in your paper, and you need to make a works cited page, you could just create another document and turn in two documents. You could have one that's your paper and one's your works cited. And I don't think any teacher or professor would ever hold that against you. But one thing that I think looks really sharp and just is kind of my little secret ingredient, my little paprika on the sandwich, is putting in a page break and just keeping it all in one neat, clean document for them to read. And that's really easy to do. What you're going to want to do is go to the last punctuation mark in your whole paper. Here's the last period that I wrote. I'm going to go insert, I'm going to go break, I'm going to go page break. And what that's going to do is now this right here is a brand new page. And what that's going to do is start a new page no matter what. I could keep typing up here if I wanted to. If I find more stuff later, if I add more information in, it'll keep a break in my essay no matter what, where now this page is its own page. So my works cited always is its own separate page at the end of a document, which is cool. I'm going to center, I'm going to type works cited. You can also type bibliography. If I'm being honest, I never figured out why some people use works cited and other people use bibliography. As far as I'm concerned, they mean the exact same thing. So you're going to go works cited, and then you're literally just going to paste in exactly that citation that you pulled off Citation Machine. And then you're going to do that for each source that you pulled up. It couldn't really be easier. So here's the only thing that I'm going to warn you guys about. If you go over to Citation Machine and you've made your first source, if you guys go to do your second source, like I use Britannica here, if I go and grab this, and I go and I grab the URL, citation, it's great. I go to final step. It's going to ask me the same questions. You'll see again right here, I don't get that first and last name because it's an encyclopedia article. So there's nothing wrong with not including it. If I don't have it, I don't include it. So what you're going to get is this ad. It's the only thing that's lame about Citation Machine. It's going to make you watch an ad to create more than one citation. So the only thing that I'm looking for before Friday, there is an assignment posted for final drafts of your papers. I want you guys to go through. I want you to check your formatting. I want to make sure that it's caught up to all the standards that we talked about earlier in the video. I want you guys to create a proper works cited page that should contain at least 5 sources, of which at least 2 should be from Explora. Then turn it in, and I'll tell you good job, and I'll give you a virtual high five and a super good grade in the class, and you guys will be all set up and rocking and roll for high school. I know we've had a lot of people bail on this assignment as we've gone, so those of you that have stuck with it, I'm proud of you, and I mean that. I know this is a tough time to stay focused. I know it's a tough time to kind of keep your eye on the ball, and I'm really proud of you for sticking with it. And I'm really excited to see what your final drafts look like and what you guys have put together. I still don't really know how to end videos,